Hello friends, it's Christine and this is my channel, Hollishandscreate. Today is Thursday, July 8th. It's about 11:45 in the morning. It's a beautiful day here in Kansas City. This is episode number 27. This is a channel about all my crafty endeavors, primarily cross stitch. Today I'm going to show you just a tiny bit of a quilting whip that I need to finish up. And I'm also going to talk to you about another hobby that I have dabbled in the past, and my trip to Hawaii inspired me to maybe pick back up again. But if any of those things sound interesting to you and you've wandered into this, this Flosstube or this video by accident and you want to hang in, that'd be great. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back and visiting with me. It's been since, I think, June 6th, so about a month since I had my last video. And if I wanted to kind of to open with this, as everyone knows, Barb passed away from Blackbird Designs this past Sunday, July 4th. And Alma posted the sweetest tribute to her on Instagram. And so it's just a big hit to the cross-stitch world and the quilting world as well, and just for everyone who loved their creativity, loved their designs and everything that she added to the world. Just the most gracious and kind person. I met her, of course, each year at market. And I know my first year at market, I'm sure I wandered into the room looking like a lost lamb, and probably half fangirl at the same time. And the room is always busy. It's always just tons of people in there, and you're looking at everything. And I walked in, and she, took me by the arm and just guided me around the room, just like I was the only person there. So she was just so sweet and so nice, and she was just like, let me show you everything we have. And, like I didn't know who she was. And just such a gracious and sweet lady. And then once that we established that we were both from Kansas City, then we ended up just visiting and talking, and just, just so sweet. And then the last year the market was open, my husband and I on Friday went antiquing, and we were in an antique store, and lo and behold, there's Barb and Alma doing the same, some antiquing, because they never opened their room on Friday, just Saturday morning, and they spent the day antiquing. And we ended up just walking through the store with them and visiting and chatting and just talking all things Kansas City and stitching, and just all, they're just such lovely ladies. So I just wanted to share a little bit of my experience, which is just the tiniest bit, with Barb. And I wish Alma and her family, heartfelt condolences. And she'll be missed. She will definitely be missed. So I was supposed to return on July the 4th, late in the evening. And we had a little excitement at the airport and on the airplane on Sunday. My husband had flown back. He'd taken the red eye out of Hawaii to LA on Friday night because he had to go all the way to Providence, Rhode Island. So in order to get him back, he had to take 3 flights. It was a long trip for him. So he was already gone. Savannah and I then got some mom-daughter time on Saturday. And then early Sunday morning, we're up at 4:30 out of the hotel. Bellman came 5:15. Gave us a quick cart ride through the underground tunnels of the resort, and right out to our car, literally all the way out to the parking lot to our car. And we were at the airport by, like 10 minutes of 6. And about 7:15, they announced that our 8 a.m. flight was not going to leave till 8:30. And I was getting a little concerned because I had the connection in Seattle to Kansas City. Then they announced 8:30 was going to be 9 o'clock. And I was like, well, that's great. I just missed my connection. So I went up to the gate agent. He says, call reservations. I was like, okay. So I got on with the airlines reservations, and they were able to book me just a horrendous flight, but at least get me home. But it was going to be late in the day, fly out of Kona, so I was going to have to spend, however many, 8 hours, 9 hours at the Kona airport on the Big Island, Hawaii, and then fly to Seattle, Seattle to Chicago, Chicago into Kansas City, and I would do all that overnight and get into Kansas City the next morning at 10 o'clock. So I was looking forward to it, but I was like, well, it's the only way I can get home. I'll have to do it. So we end up boarding and taking off about 10:30. And I was like, okay, it's late, but I can still make, my connection by about an hour, in Seattle to Chicago. And we take off, and, they ascend up to about 10,000, and then they kind of level a little bit, and then they begin their climb. Well, we went up to 10,000, and we're looking out, and I'm like, wow, we're really getting a tour of the islands, which I didn't remember that before. We just kind of, zoomed straight up, and then you're above the clouds. And then the pilot comes on and says, well, we've had a little bit of a problem. One of the pressure valves in one of the engines, as soon as they began their ascent, maxed out. And they could no longer continue to climb because of the pressure. And basically, one of the reasons why we were getting that tour of the islands we were flying around was he needed to burn fuel, because we couldn't land as heavy as we were. We would have gone right off the end of the runway. So we floated around, and then they were like, we're also trying to decide, should we take you back to Kona, or we should take you to Honolulu? What's going to be the best thing to get all 200 people back onto other flights to get them to where they need to be. So we cruise around in the air for probably another half an hour, and then they had to come on and announce that we're going to land in Honolulu. So we, make the descent, we do the landing, but he had no reverse thrust, because that applies, again, too much pressure to that engine, and there was, fear of blowing that engine. And we landed, and I mean, we kept going, and I was like watching the runway, and I thought, and watching the water get closer and closer, I thought, oh my goodness, are we gonna go right off the end here? But he was able to get it stopped, and of course everyone starts clapping. And he said, well, that was a bit of a heavy landing. He said we came in at right about 175,000 pounds. They were able to dump, I guess, enough fuel that they felt like they could make the landing and stop the airplane without using the reverse thrust. So anyway, it was kind of a long story, but we landed, and then everybody, of course, is scrambling to either call reservations, or, they had to put us in a section of the airport that was quarantined, because they didn't, even though we were all coming into the airport, I guess we weren't coming in through their normal gate process, and so they were concerned with COVID and everything, and of course we're all wearing masks. But we ended up getting out of Honolulu. We spent 12 hours in Honolulu. We left about 10:30, flew overnight to Seattle. Seattle's where my daughter lives, so she stayed there, of course. And then I had 45 minutes, and I had to jump on then another plane to Kansas City, because I got, one good thing is I did get to cut out the Chicago leg, because by the time we had landed in Honolulu, I also missed the second set of flights connections that they had set up for me. So anyway, we made it in, but by the time I got here, it was maybe 2 o'clock or so, 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Monday. And I had been awake, I guess, since 4:30 the prior day. So I was definitely running on some fumes, and plans I had for getting the shop open and things like that kind of, went out the door. But, oops, sorry. Sadie always thinks that she needs to make an appearance. And here she is. Can you say hi? Can you look up at the camera? Ooh. She doesn't look too thrilled, does she? Okay, right there. Get on your spot. Okay, there you go. All right, so anyway, after, you know, a couple nights of really long sleep, I slept till 10 o'clock yesterday morning. I haven't done that in years. I think today I feel like I'm semi-rested, and the swelling's out of my feet, which I always swell when I fly. And I'm feeling pretty good. Shop got opened back up yesterday evening because it took me a while to get, I had like 4 big boxes of inventory waiting to be put in, and you know, unpacking and laundry. And then in the middle of this on Tuesday, I had the carpet installers scheduled to come and install new carpets in our 2 kind of family room areas, sitting room and family room. So it's like, everything's a little bit crazy. But I had attached the video at the beginning of this of the little view that I had off the balcony. We stayed at Waikoloa Village, Waikoloa Beach, which is on the west side of the Big Island, the northwest side of Hawaii. And each morning I got up and went out onto the balcony early. Of course, there's a 5-hour time difference, so you know you're way awake early anyway, and just enjoyed the view and did some stitching. So I inserted the video so you could kind of see what my morning view was each morning, and I tagged my pictures, you know, stitching in paradise, and that's kind of what it felt like. It was really beautiful. I'll put a few pictures at the end, so if you're interested, you can, you know, when you get to the end of this video, you can look through those. We did get some, you know, some typical souvenirs, though I did actually go into one of the shops where the ladies did hand-dyed batiks, and I bought this shirt, which I just absolutely love the design of. And I got, you know, I got a couple t-shirts too. But the other thing that I got that to me was kind of the one of the better souvenirs is we had gone to Mountain Thunder Coffee Plantation, which is in a cloud forest, and it had some really steep stairs for a self-guided tour, and so I actually couldn't do those stairs. At that point, we had done so much hiking and everything that my knees, which I'm waiting for replacements, were just kind of waiting as long as possible to do. At that point, they were just, I couldn't do the stairs. So I don't drink coffee. I know that's a bad, you know, revelation to make, right? Because we all stitch about coffee and this and that, but I don't drink coffee. And full disclosure, I did actually take a little sip of this, you know, great 100% Kona coffee, and I was like, you know, so, but I did at least take a sip. And so anyway, I hung up at the top, which was just the flora and fauna and everything is just so beautiful. It's like eye candy just to see all the flowers. And there was a lady who was there to answer questions and thing, and she was about the same age. And we ended up just standing there and chatting and talking, and I went through and looked at in the little coffee shop, but they also had in the coffee shop all of these just magnificent watercolors. And I bought this one. And it is just, to me, it's absolutely stunning. And this is done by Gary Plum, and he's originally from Minnesota. And in 1985, he and his wife were honeymooning in Hawaii, and that was it. He fell in love. And he basically tried to kind of figure out how in the world he was going to do this. But 2 years later, they moved to Hawaii, and he's been doing watercolors ever since, and has been able to do it for his full-time job. These are just some samples. This is a coffee plant, coffee beans. They come on green and then turn red. And the hibiscus are just beautiful. Love that one. And the bird of paradise. Oop. I didn't take these two out of the plastic. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. And another of the hibiscus. the hibiscus are kind of, I think, you know, some of the ones that are really his kind of claim to fame, but he has been all, you know, it says, you know, all kinds of covers of magazines, and they've been in prints, greeting cards. They're available in all the galleries. We saw them, his prints were put onto really cool bags, just all different kinds of things. And as I'm like looking at these and just oogling, there was a girl in the little shop who came up, and so she was kind of talking to me. Turns out that was her father. She was working in there, and so we just chatted away. She was really sweet too. But the reason I guess that I loved it so much is when we were here in Kansas City before, I had taken a watercolor class. I've always liked to sketch and things like that, but I always wanted to learn how to watercolor. And when I was in school, I had taken quite a few classes, art classes, but mostly worked in pastels. And so it kind of inspired me to pull out my bag and my portfolio book and look. And I just thought I'd show you a few things that I had done in the class that I had taken. And I think I'm going to sign up. I'm going to see if that same instructor is still teaching, and I think I'm gonna sign up and do it again. But here was one that I had done. We all had to do this lion, and there was mine. And we had to do just some scenes. Some of these we all had to do the same thing, and then some of them where we had to do our own. And the class I'd taken was in 2015. So the two subjects before were subjects that the teacher had picked for us. And then when it was our turn to do what we wanted to do, I kind of wanted to do flowers and outdoor scenes. So this was one of the flowers that I had done. This was a tulip bouquet that I had taken a picture of from the top down, and decided to watercolor that. And then this was a picture from Long Beach Island, a trip. I just was going through some vacation trips, and I really liked this particular picture and thought I could, you know, maybe make it into a watercolor. And then the last thing that, well, here was another shot of that same dahlia, a little more refined. I was a little more determined maybe to you know, do it again. And that's the thing with watercolor, you know, you can just keep going. And then one thing I did that was, she wanted us to do something completely different at the very end. So I printed this picture. Now, my oldest daughter modeled for 12 years, and that particular picture was in her portfolio. And I don't know if the magazine or the photographer, it was for the makeup, or if he was just doing a study on color. I'm not sure, but anyway, that particular picture. So I did that picture. And of course, I added the color. And so that's my daughter Brittany's eye. So anyway, there's just so many cool things that you can do. My husband did have me, he thought I should try to frame one. So here was a picture of some crocus that were actually in our front yard. And so I zoomed in really tight to the picture and snapped that, and then did the watercolor. So anyway, it's fun. I really enjoyed the class, but it's been 6 years since, you know, I took that class. I don't know if I could, you know, I think I would want to go back and take, you know, maybe the second class. I don't know that I need the beginning class again, but maybe the second class, and just kind of brush up on technique and learn a few more things. But anyway, I just thought it was kind of cool because to me, sometimes, you know, cross stitching is a lot like coloring, right? We're filling in areas. And I don't know if you were a crayon person when you were little, but I was. And we used to love to make those where you take the black line and just do all kinds of stuff, you know, black lines, and then kind of scribble, but then, you know, make it loops and everything, and then go back with color and fill it all in like a kaleidoscope type picture. And I used to love doing that. And to me, when you're doing watercolor or you're doing cross stitch or any of those things, it's all about, you know, putting those colors together and filling in that blank space with something really beautiful. So anyway, I thought I would just share that real quick, but let's get on to the stitching. You're really here for the stitching, right? So I had it finished. It's been since, like I said, June 6th, about a month. So a couple days after my last video, I was really close, if you'll remember, to finishing Plum Street Samplers, Love Thy Neighbor, and I did get it finished. I actually finished it just a couple of days after. So this is done on a Dames of the Needle linen, and it's a 36 count. So that one I have just hanging right now. I've got 3 or 4 other pieces for framing, so it'll just kind of get in line for right now to be framed. I had referenced that each morning I got up and went out on the balcony to do my 1 thread a day. As you know, I've been stitching 1 thread a day, except for on Sundays. I try to add 2 threads on my Long Dog Samplers, Paradigm Found. And this is the corner that I'm in. And here's my, let me show you my progress. Let me get my board here. And this one is done on Vintage Butter Pecan by Lakeside. And I feel like I've made tremendous progress. Okay, right there, you can really see the variation in the thread. I am using Current. I'm using Current by Gentle Art Threads. And I feel like I've gotten quite a lot done. I've finished up the square around the peacock. I've added in this little motif, and I've started on the bottom of the cherub. So as soon as I finish filling in the cherub, that's actually a page finish, and I'll be going on to the next page. So that was a lot of fun. It was so nice sitting out there and stitching that. I needed no light. All I needed, you know, was feet up and my needle and thread, my pattern on my lap, and just stitching away. It was really nice. So the next thing that I have been working on, I had only a couple of Wednesdays after my video that I actually pulled out for Walter Wednesday, which is Ann Thomas, 1854 by Hands Across the Sea. And on Walter, I was actually able to, where's my board? I thought maybe I could just hold him up, but I've gotten far enough now that I need to show him on a bigger board. So, okay, so I have finished the wreath around Walter, and I did post this on my Instagram page, which is @McMamaHollis. I did not finish Walter's tail, and I am not going to finish Walter's tail until the very end. And Becky, my good friend Becky, Socks for Mom, she and I are stitching Walter together on Wednesdays, and we're going to put in the last stitches together. So I finished the wreath, and I've started, you can see the urn and the flowers in the urn. So making good progress. This is on 36 count milk chocolate by hand dyed by Stephanie. And I am using the DMCs. Now, if you want to see the silks, go to Socks for Mom, Becky, and because she's using the silks. So that's Walter. Now, he only got 2 Wednesdays. Then the following Wednesday, or the last Wednesday, well, I guess it's really 2 Wednesdays now. My husband actually flew in the Wednesday before we left for vacation. So I didn't do any stitching, that evening. And then I did not take Walter with me to Hawaii. I just kind of felt like for only one evening, I didn't want to pack all that up and to take with. And then last night, I barely did anything. I was, again, just kind of really sleepy. So went to bed fairly early. So I'm still just saying the word sleepy, making me yawn. Okay. So now I did take 4 projects with me. My Paradigm Found with the 1 thread a day. I knew I was going to be in Hawaii for the Blackbird weekend. Now, unfortunately, I did not get a chance to stitch quite as much as I had hoped while we were there on the weekend, because we just ended up, having Saturday be a beach day, and then Saturday night I ended up, finishing up packing because I had to be up at 4:30 in the morning, so I didn't get a lot of stitching done. But I did add in this motif, these little motifs here, this motif here, and 3 of the letters. So you can kind of see. So this is Come Into the Garden by Blackbird Designs. I think it's Come Into My Garden by Blackbird Designs. And I'll show you. The book is, unfortunately, took a little tough on the trip. There. And my threads, they're a little wonky. I just unpacked these things, but beautiful threads, beautiful threads. So that's my Come Into My Garden. And I am stitching this on Dirt Road, 40 count Dirt Road by Seraphim Fabrics. So one more look at that. So I don't have just a tremendous amount to get this one finished. And then I had kind of planned, since I thought I was going to be flying all day on Sunday, I had kind of planned to stitch, since it was the 4th of July, on Where Liberty Dwells by Brenda Gervais with I Needle and Thread. This was a 2019, I think it was 2019 or 2020 Mania start for me. And for some reason, I'm just still dragging on getting this thing finished. I don't know why I haven't finished it. But, so I did work on this some in the airport. They moved us, like we had to stay in one gate, then they moved us to another gate. Then they finally gave us food vouchers. So every time I would see them get it out, we'd get moved or something would happen, and then they wanted us to go eat. And anyway, so I didn't get near as much stitching as I thought I might while I was, marooned. But I did end up filling in the rest of the ivory here. I did put in these portions, Quaker portions, the stars here. I did get most of the flag put together. So as you can see, there's not just a tremendous amount to finish this one up. And I'm stitching it on 40 count feldspar. Yes, I believe it's feldspar. I had a thought for a second that maybe it was ancient, but I think it's feldspar. By, I don't have my project card here with me. I left it in the other thing. By Picture This Plus. So that one is getting finished this month. And then my true vacation finish, I had originally planned on starting Harriet Goddard, Hands Across the Sea. But that's laid plans. I had ordered the silks, and I thought I ordered the silks, well, I ordered them about 12 days before we were supposed to leave. And they arrived, we left on Sunday morning and they arrived on Monday, of course. So another chart that I absolutely loved when I saw that it was coming out from Needlework Press, and I had ordered for the shop, is And Be Kind to One Another. And this is the companion piece to Be Exceedingly Diligent. And Exceedingly Diligent is a horizontal sampler, and this, of course, is the vertical. And I absolutely love this. So I was like, well, all right, you know what? I'm not getting my silks because I could see in the tracking information that they weren't going to arrive on time. So I immediately jumped onto this one because it kind of fits with my theme this year of kindness and stitching kindness charts and being kind. And this is what I stitched. So I'm very happy with this. I think the colors are really beautiful. And you can see I'm probably about a third of the way because I'm doing the stems on these flowers on this band right here. And I'm a right hand side bottom starter. And so I'm about to here. So I'm really, really loving this. Now I'm stitching this on 40 count Eureka. I kind of get an idea of the color tone. This is by Fox and Rabbit. And the colors are very vibrant. I did post a couple of pictures of this on my Instagram, and I had a couple of people comment that they were glad to see it because they were a little concerned about the color palette from the picture on the front of the cover. I think the picture on the front of the cover looks a little bit washed out or a little blown out maybe. Or, you know, it could be too that they're stitching it, they stitched it on Vintage Country Mocha. You know, and I'm stitching it on something that's a little less modeled. So, you know, that can make a huge difference too. So anyway, I'm just really thrilled with this, and I'm going to keep going and keep working on that. And then the last thing as far as whips, so because that was my new start, obviously turned into a whip, is I'm trying to go through and still unpacking crafts and different hobbies and things, trying to figure out where to put it. My shop inventory is expanded enough that I'm using a full room plus, whereas before, you know, my craft room turned into my shop room, and I added file cabinets and things like that in space. And now my shop went in first before crafts. And so I'm trying to kind of go through and really evaluate, you know, what I'm going to work on, what I'm not going to work on. Pulled out every whip for every medium that I'm working in, whether it be crochet, quilting, cross stitch, you know, whatever, and really took a hard look. Well, there was one thing that I had started when we found out that our oldest, Brittany, was pregnant, and and then this was complete speculation on whether or not it was going to be a girl, but I had seen this little pattern. It's a Thimbleberries pattern, and I absolutely love this. So I did all the little cutting with a couple charm packs and stitched it together. And anyway, it was all still, I had, I think maybe 6 of the 9 blocks stitched, and that was it. The others were kind of laid together. So I finished stitching those together, put the blocks all together, you know, got them done and pinned. This is what I'm using for the backing. And I think it just makes, you know, a really sweet little quilt. Now, I've got the binding cut, I've got it all pinned, and I'm going to just machine quilt and then bind. And this will be for my daughter to either hang on the wall if she wants to hang on the wall. I've got a little baby doll that I bought, and or she can use it as a baby doll quilt for Alaska. So anyway, so this is my other whip that I was working on, that I was trying to get finished. So, all right, making progress. Okay, so I do have a little bit of stash enhancement, not a ton, but I've got a few things that I'll share with you. If you followed me at all or watched some of my videos, you're aware that I am in love with a Rhode Island sampler. And one of the other truly beautiful Rhode Island samplers out there that you can get is from Designs by Donna Vermillion, and it's the Wisdom Sampler. Now this has been out for quite some time, but I finally actually purchased it. I've had it on watch for I don't know how long, and for some reason I just wasn't buying it, and then I finally decided, okay, I'm getting this thing. So that's my chart enhancement. I'm sure everyone has gotten their punch needle and primitive stitcher magazine for this quarter. Some really cute designs. Love this Shakespeare's Peddler, Glory, Glory, Hallelujah. That's really cute. It's always just so, I don't know, inspirational when you get one of these, and kind of gets you going, gets all the juices flowing. So I got that. And then I purchased a couple of bags. Now, a couple of these, one of these was while I was on vacation, one was during vacation, and Nikki from Nikkis Notables. And there's the back side. Can you see that really good? Nikkis Notables. She's on Etsy, and she's S as in Sam, Merkt, M-E-R-K-T on Instagram. And she does post little like times when she's going to do an Etsy shop drop with bags. And she had done a drop. Now there was a couple of bags that I had hoped to get from her, but I was trying to calculate the time, and I was like, oh, I'm 5 hours behind. So I set my alarm for 5 hours behind, except I wasn't thinking it was 5 hours behind my time, but Nikki's on the East Coast, so it should have been 6 hours behind on her time. So my alarm went off, and I jump in, and I look, and I had wanted one of these bags, so I was still good with that because I love her tall bags. I love it's an up and down design. Isn't that beautiful? So I was very happy to still get one of these, but the other quilted bags that I had hoped to get were gone like ASAP. So Anyway, so hopefully next time I'll get one. And then one of my other bag makers who's quickly becoming a real favorite is Judy from BuckleberryQuilts. And she put up this French General bag. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? I absolutely love this. And then this comes, like she has it all like partially done like this. And then this beautiful little package. And I thought, well, I'll just open this. And so it says, you know, your purchase made my day. I hope this package brightens yours. Thank you. It's just so sweet. You know, when you open the package and it's just so nicely done. And then each time, this is I think my third bag from Judy. Each time there's something else a little different. Oh, nice. And so there's her card. BuckleberryQuilts on Etsy. And floss. And it's interesting, I think I said this is my third bag from her. And each bag, the floss that she sends is coordinating with one of the main colors or the main theme of your bag. Or potentially, maybe, you know, I'm thinking it might even just be that she coordinates it with the zipper. So anyway, so very nice. Thank you, Judy. Excellent bags, just beautiful. Her seams are just gorgeous. And I love her bags. So let's see, that was it as far as my stash enhancement, my cross stitch stash enhancement, which is plenty. I don't need a lot. It's not like we all don't have tons and tons to stitch, that is for sure. So let's see, what have we got down here on the list? Oh, okay, so again, this community is just fantastic. I lent a chart that I had acquired to a fellow stitcher who wanted to stitch it. It was one of her unicorns. And when she stitched it in record time, and then when she sent it back, she sent that and several other charts back for me to either, you know, keep or gift, and also some silks. These are silks from Silks for You. Just beautiful silks. It's like 5 colors. And I had, I guess I had bought, there was when we were Flosstubers were doing like a support, like I don't remember what they were calling it, but I watched a couple of Flosstubers who then they spotlighted someone like a maker, and you could go on, and anyway, so I had one of the ones, I think it was, I want to say it might have been Leslie Hurley was spotlighting Silks for You, and so I had watched her video, and then I had gone and made a purchase, but I haven't used any yet. And anyway, my friend was telling me when I sent her back the thank you and everything, she said that she joined their Silk of the Month club, and this was one of the packages that she had received, and she gifted it to me. And I just thought that was just the sweetest thing. Thank you again so much. I picked out a couple of the charts that I'm going to keep, but she sent a couple others. These were duplicates, I think, that she had. And so be looking for these in a future giveaway. She said that it was perfectly fine to keep and or gift. So I am going to do that. I am actually closing in on 3,000 subscribers. So I've been amassing some 3,000 subscriber giveaways. So be watching for that. Hopefully that maybe even happens by the next Flosstube. But again, thank you so much for the stitchy kindness. It is truly appreciated, and I'll be very happy to maybe take advantage of it a little bit for myself, but also pass some more of that kindness on to a fellow stitcher. Okay, so on to that. I didn't have a giveaway last time because I knew it was going to be a while before I got back on, but I have 2 giveaways for this time. I've got 2 things for you to see if you'd like to have, and since we're in July and it's still patriotic stitching, everybody's still, you know, stitching that. Here is, it was a promo chart that was given to me from Mayanne. This is Mountaineer Designs, Long Macy Wave. So if you're interested in this particular giveaway, use the word wave in your comment, please, because that's what I'll search by. And sticking with our patriotic theme, and also going through my stash and really being realistic again about what am I finishing, what am I not finishing, am I ever going to get to this. I have gotten this particular club kit. This was a Dying to Stitch club kit from Heartstring Samplery, and it's Flag Day at Twin Gables. And as you'll see, it's the full kit to finish everything. And if you would like to have this one, use the word flag in your comment, and that's what I'll search by. You know, I'm gonna pull this out. This is one of those self-sealing bags, and they're a little bit of a pain, so I hadn't pulled it out, but let me see if that helps where you can see it just a little bit better. It says every day is Flag Day across the bottom. It's a sweet little pillow. So anyway, that whole kit. Okay, so if you are under 18, please do not send me your address if you're under 18. Must be 18 to participate. Please don't use the word free or giveaway in your comment. We want to make sure that these items go to people who are truly stitchers who want the items. So the normal rules, right, for giveaways. And let's see, last thing, if you're, I'm going to do just a 2-minute shop update. If you're good to go, then thank you so much for being here. If you're a subscriber, thank you so much for, you know, clicking that bell, clicking that word subscribe, and hanging with me. And if you want to see just a couple little things that I'm doing in the shop, then hang with me for a couple more minutes, and the Hawaii pictures I'm going to put at the end, and let's get through with that. So there is a sale that is started, and there's a Facebook page for Lucy Beam's Though He Seemeth Sleeping. And this came out around Christmas time, and this is of course the antique. And I had it in the shop for a short time, and for some reason I don't know why I didn't reorder it. Sometimes, you know, on the inventory list, something will slip through and I miss that it's out. But anyway, it's reordered, and I know there was a lot of people who were starting this just this past week. It's really beautiful. It says, dark the night and wild the wave, Christ the boat is keeping, trust in him and I have no fear, though he seemeth sleeping. And it's Emily Bestwick, aged 11, 1874. The cool thing about it is that Becky Nolan, who is the designer behind Lucy Beam, included in this chart 4 colorways of floss that you can mix to get your perfect palette, and 4 linens for you to choose from. So that's really cool. Excuse me. I've seen some people do a more muted palette, and then some people like the bright colors. But anyway, if you're interested, there is a Facebook page for the sale, and it is restocked. And then the last thing is about fabric. When we, especially as an online seller, when you get a yard of fabric, it completely divides equally into eighths, right? So that's where we get the fat eighth. And the fat eighth is, you know, when you think of a yard, and if you were going to think of a yard, you think of 36 inches as a yard. And, you know, if you had an eighth of the yard, that's going to be a pretty skinny piece, right? So another way, you know, if you're cutting it in strips, but a cross-stitch yard of fabric is typically 36 by 55, sometimes 52, 53, 54, typically 55. If you're getting into Bergen, like the 46 counts, whatever, you're getting usually 50 to 59 inches. So your cuts are a little larger. But generally, you know, it's still a fat eighth, right? And you cut it into 8 panels. Obviously, then you can have fat quarters, which are 18 by 26, a fat half, which is 26 by 36, and then the full yard. But not all samplers fit onto a 13-inch width. And even with a fat quarter, which bumps to 18 inches, sometimes, you know, you've got things that are 20, 22 inches that come into my garden as a perfect example, where it's more of a rectangular or square instead of. So what I have done is, for some of the more popular Zweigart colors, like Platinum, Vintage Country Mocha, I've started ordering shortcuts. And shortcuts are, you know, the chunk of fabric that is not a full yard that you can purchase. But when it's not a full yard, you can't get it cut into those eighths so that there's no waste of that fabric. And so what I have decided, because I've had a lot of requests say, you know, is there any way you can custom cut, you know, 22 by whatever, 24? Well, it's hard to do that because then I've got all these extra remnants that are basically unsaleable. And so I've started purchasing shortcuts, and I'm going to be listing them by the count in the shop under the fabric section. And that way I can sell pieces that are 23 by, you know, whatever, 23, 18 by 23, you know, things like that that are a little more custom cut. So be watching for that. I just received all that fabric in this morning. Actually, it came this right before I got ready to start filming. So I'll be working on getting those in this afternoon. So again, that's it. And thank you so much. It's been long enough. It's about 50 minutes. And I hope everyone is well. Again, sending out my, you know, heartfelt sympathies and condolences to Barb's family and to Alma Allen. And take care. All right. Bye-bye.